오, 와, 요. 看没看着？这他妈的中岭的豆腐渣工程，他妈的这阳台坏了没人管。看，看。
It's all covered in today's China truths.
One day, a hairline crack. The next, your ceiling crashes onto your dinner table. Across China, nightmarish stories are emerging. Newly built towers splitting open, balconies collapsing, staircases snapping like twigs. These aren't freak accidents. They're symptoms of a construction time bomb now ticking beneath millions of homes. Once celebrated as proof of China's unstoppable rise, the concrete jungles of megacities are now crumbling before people's eyes. Shiny apartment complexes, once sold as symbols of prosperity, are revealing their true faces. Thin walls, hollow floors, and fake safety reports. The truth? These weren't built to last. They were built to sell. What fueled the collapse? A toxic mix of speed, greed, and political ambition. In the late 2000s, China's urban growth became a numbers game. Local officials raced to meet development targets, while real estate giants chased sky-high profits. Bids went to the lowest price, oversight disappeared, and quality was the first casualty. Cement watered down, steel rods swapped out for cheaper alternatives. Corners cut at every level. The phrase tofu dreg projects, once used to describe poorly built schools that collapsed in the 2008 Sichuan earthquake, now haunts cities nationwide. The fear is no longer limited to rural schools. It's in high-rises, shopping malls, government offices. The fear has moved in with the homeowners. Online, horror stories are everywhere. People post videos of new apartments crumbling months after moving in. One clip shows a mother screaming as ceiling plaster crashes down inches from her child. These aren't 30-year-old buildings. Some are barely 2 years old, and many were built by state-backed developers. Crackdowns have been announced, investigations promised. But inside sources tell a different story of fake inspections, rigged contracts, and hush money. When problems arise, they're labeled minor defects. Residents are told to wait. Meanwhile, the buildings keep cracking. In Zhengzhou, a luxury complex saw its lobby ceiling cave in during light rain. Residents had already reported warped floors and trembling walls. Their complaints were ignored. In Chengdu, a torrent of water burst from a high-rise ceiling and flooded the entire staircase like a waterfall. The building was 2 years old. Tianjin saw a row of balconies collapse like dominoes. No warning, no explanation. The area was sealed off. Residents got silence in return. This isn't a few unlucky buildings, it's a pattern. A leaked government report from Jiangxi province revealed over 300 residential structures were labeled unsafe, more than half built after 2017. Documents showed tampered inspections, swapped materials, and developers cutting deals behind closed doors. The walls are falling, and with them, the illusion of safety. China's miracle housing boom has become a nightmare for the very people who paid for it. And the question echoing across social media is simple. Whose building will fall next? China's middle class is in panic. They bought homes and now they fear for their lives. Across China, anger is erupting behind closed doors and behind crumbling walls. Thousands of middle-class families, once proud homeowners, are now refusing to move into their newly completed apartments. Why? Because many of these towers are death traps in disguise. Buyers who paid full price through crushing mortgages are demanding independent safety inspections. But it's too late. The money's gone, and the legal system offers little hope. Developers dodge blame, pointing fingers at subcontractors. Subcontractors deflect to suppliers. And local officials? Silent, terrified that admitting failure could spark mass outrage. In Guangzhou, a high-rise visibly leaned northward. Instead of evacuating residents, authorities told them to stay off the balcony during storms. In Nanjing, a leaked video from an unfinished building revealed walls stuffed with trash and newspaper instead of insulation. Engineers who reviewed the footage called it a coffin waiting for an earthquake. Even worse, the companies managing these buildings, often controlled by the developers, are crushing dissent. Whistleblowers report social media censorship, threats of lawsuits, and even police intimidation. And it's spreading from the ruins of giants like Evergrande and Country Garden. A wave of fragile, hollow buildings is flooding the market. Many begin falling apart just 1 to 3 years after construction. Residents say their floors shift underfoot. Online, anonymous voices are begging others, do not move in, you might not survive. The phrase tofu drag buildings is no longer metaphor. It's a terrifying reality. As typhoons grow fiercer and temperatures rise, engineers warn, many of these towers won't survive the summer. This isn't just about real estate, it's about trust, fear, and a nation's credibility crumbling, one floor at a time. Behind China's glittering skylines lies a brutal truth. Many of its homes were never built to last. Corrupt deals, fake materials, and zero accountability have created a nationwide trap, one that's now closing in on millions of unsuspecting families. At the center of the disaster is China's land-first development machine. Local governments rely on land sales to fund everything from schools to subways. That dependence forged an unholy alliance, officials chasing economic numbers and developers chasing profits. The result? Quantity over quality, speed over safety. In this system, inspections are often just paperwork. Many are carried out by firms tied to the very developers being inspected. The conflicts of interest are no secret. They're the rule, not the exception. Whistleblowers from provinces like Yunnan have exposed bribes disguised as inspection fees. One former engineer confessed that unsafe buildings were signed off with a stamp and a handshake. Once approved, problems become the homeowner's problem. And the materials? Shocking. Reports show diluted cement, hollow bricks, steel swapped for scrap metal. In some cities, foam insulation was replaced with shredded newspaper. One 2024 investigation uncovered entire apartment walls stuffed with cardboard. The construction chain is intentionally messy. 20 contractors might touch a single building, but none will take the fall when things go wrong. The result? Slow motion failure. First, the waterproofing fails. Then the floors warp. Then the walls crack. Then the building breathes like it's alive. Since the real estate crash of 2023, the problem has only accelerated. Developers running out of cash have rushed to finish buildings just enough to dodge penalties. Some are handing over properties with no plumbing, broken foundations, and bare concrete floors. Legally, they're allowed to do it. Why? Because by law, once the outer walls are up, the project is delivered, even if the inside is uninhabitable. Meanwhile, the watchdogs are asleep. Safety departments have been gutted, merged, or defunded in the name of cost-cutting. A leaked 2025 Housing Ministry report shows fewer than 2% of structural complaints led to action. Most were ignored entirely. And what about the families? Trapped. They can't resell. The value has crashed. They can't leave. They're still paying off 30-year loans. And they can't sue. Courts won't take structural defect cases unless someone dies. Developers with state ties are legally untouchable. What began as a building problem is now a national trauma. For millions, that apartment wasn't just shelter. It was every penny they had. A life savings traded for walls that now leak, creak, and crumble. In Henan, residents of Jinyu Garden say they hear walls cracking at night. Ceiling plaster falls in dry weather. One mother said she hasn't slept through a single night since moving in. She checks on her kids hourly, terrified the ceiling will collapse on them. Mental health data shows a sharp rise in stress and depression among affected homeowners. One 2025 report estimates more than a third suffer from chronic anxiety. They're trapped in buildings that feel like ticking bombs, and no one's listening. In Guangzhou, a father of 2 told reporters, "I have 18 years left on my mortgage, but my home is falling apart. Every new crack is a reminder that my future is vanishing." Protests are starting to spill into the streets. From Liaoning to Sichuan, homeowners are marching, holding signs that say, "We bought homes, not coffins." Videos show entire families camping in front of housing offices, begging for help. And the response? Police warnings, arrests, court delays. The system is telling them, follow the rules, even though the rules never protected you in the first place. This isn't just about broken buildings. It's about a broken promise. China's housing nightmare, from dream homes to death traps. Once symbols of prosperity, many urban neighborhoods in China are now falling apart, literally and socially. What used to be tight-knit communities have turned into war zones of blame, silence, and fear. Neighbors accuse each other of saying too much, or not enough. No one trusts anyone anymore. In Chongqing, residents of an entire apartment block refused to fix their crumbling building. Why? Half believed it wasn't their job, it was the government's. So the cracks grew, the walls sagged, and nothing was done for a whole year. Health hazards are everywhere. Mold creeps in through cracked walls, sewer water pools in dark basements. Ceilings fall without warning. And it's no longer just a safety issue, it's deadly. In Jiangsu, a 6-year-old boy was crushed to death in May 2025 when a bedroom ceiling collapsed in a newly built complex. But this crisis is bigger than broken buildings. Property, once the backbone of China's middle-class dream, is becoming a nightmare. With over 80% of household wealth tied to homes, the collapse of trust in real estate has sent shockwaves through society. Young people are delaying marriage. Parents can't sell homes to retire. People are abandoning cities they once worked their whole lives to reach. This isn't just a housing crisis. It's a breach of the social contract. When citizens buy homes endorsed by the state and end up fearing for their lives aside them, what does that say about the system? The government stays silent. Developers go bankrupt. Whistleblowers are threatened. And behind the concrete walls, a deeper collapse is underway. The collapse of trust. So what happens when millions are trapped in debt, in buildings they no longer believe are safe? How long can a nation hold together when the very idea of home has turned into a source of fear?
Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We will keep reporting on the COVID surge in China, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to get the latest videos. And thank you for tuning in.